Bill, talking about leadership, why don't you tell us, what's your summation of the leadership that's been at the school board over the last year, particularly on the finances, and what could you or anybody else do to fix that?
Well, I think, how many people have been to a school board meeting? Raise your hand. So if you've been to a school board meeting, you sort of see this whole thing getting played out. You see two individuals pretty much in agreement. You see two other individuals that may agree on certain things but don't agree on others. And then you see one person who basically is kind of figuring out, well, depending on what time of the day it is, I'll vote to agree with either one of those two. One of the former board members told me this. This is a former, she said, ideally you should have 5-0. That means everybody sits down, everybody takes full responsibility, and everybody comes up with a decision. You may not like it, it may not be the one that you want, but it's in the best interest of students. So what has happened is, if you've seen people make decisions, they're making decisions based on adults, making decisions on what's best for the adults, including themselves. So I think we have to get back to that issue. Is the decision in the best interest of students first? If it is, then the other folks that are sitting on that board should come to a conclusion that the decision first focuses around students. The other thing is this, and people talk about the budgets, and Mark brought up a good point about the fact, well, they cut the budget and the test scores went up. The other thing about this is this.
Keep it brief, Bill. Keep it brief.
The annual budget for the district is $1.1 billion. Is that brief enough? That's brief.
There you go. All right, thank you. Richard, let me pose this question to you. Obviously, not running for election, but let's introduce this topic. You guys are asking taxpayers to dig into their pockets next year. There's Proposition Z that's on the ballot. It's a $2.8 billion bond. Why should these good people vote for that? Why should they give the school district more money?
No, appreciate that, Will. And I'll get to Prop Z, but you had asked also a question about the statewide ballot initiatives. I mean, look, we have to get beyond. It's the easiest thing you'll ever hear from a politician, and we're hearing it from two of them right now, that you don't have to face up to the difficult choices. You can never raise taxes and continue to see improvement. Boy, is that an easy way out for any politician. We don't have to actually deal with the budget crisis. We've got very difficult choices in front of us. The fact that our test scores continue to go up, even as we face this budget crisis over the past 4 years, is a testament to the incredible work of our teachers, our principals, our parents, our students, who are working harder than they ever have before. So the question is, are we going to now come in support of the work that people are doing at the schools, or are we going to continue to act like, well, we can just have whatever we want and not pay for it? So I'm a little bit, and I haven't actually... I heard John Evans clearly indicate why we're supporting, as a full board 5-0, by the way, Prop 30 and Prop 38. I didn't hear from either of these guys whether they support Prop 30 or Prop 38, so I'd like to hear that at some point. But
we can get on
let
to
me
that.
take Prop Z real quick.
Let's address Prop Z quickly.
Okay.
This is the $2.8 billion school bond.
So here's the situation with our facilities. School bond obviously pays for the quality of our facilities. Nearly 20% of the facilities in the district are in need of major repair and renovation. Many of our buildings, of our school buildings, are 50 years old, 60 years old or more. If we invest in this bond, Prop Z, over the next several years, we will get down to the point that less than 5% of our facilities are in need of major repair and renovation, which is about where we want to be. We can fix the problem with our facilities. If we avoid it, what we're going to see over the next several years is that the problem keeps getting worse and worse. And let's remember, we are in the most advantageous construction market that we're ever going to be in right now. Our construction costs are the lowest that they're going to be. Our interest rates are the lowest that they're going to be. So if we don't take advantage of this current, environment, pass Prop Z, do the work that we need to do, not only is the work going to get, tougher and tougher and more expensive, the market's going to, blow wide open, and we're going to be in a position, we talk a lot about passing problems on to future generations. That's exactly what we're going to do if we don't pass Prop Z. This is an opportunity to fix our facilities problems now, so that our kids now can go to quality schools and quality facilities, and that in the future we're not passing a huge problem onto
Thanks,
future
Richard.
generations.
Let me before I give Bill and Mark a chance to kind of explain to comment on this. Let me just pose you guys both 3 very quick questions. I just want to hear a yes or a no from you. Which way you're going to vote? Proposition Z, the school bond. Which way you're going to vote? Yes or no?
No. I'm on the oversight committee, folks. That's the reason why I'm voting no.
Mark,
No.
Mark, yes or no?
No.
And what about Proposition 30? This is the proposition that would tax wealthy individuals to bring more money to California schools. Yes or no?
No.
Okay.
No.
And what about Proposition 38? This is a similar proposition.
I'd vote yes for this one because it specifically targets money coming to K-12 and higher education.
What about you, Mark?
Same. I'd vote yes. It's going to bypass the state, so the state doesn't have a chance to get its hands on it.
Okay, so let's go back to the original proposition. Then Proposition Z, the school bond. Do these guys, does the school board, the school district, obviously you both said no. Why don't they deserve more money for facilities?
Well, I think they deserve more money, but here again, neither one of these guys talk about Prop S. Neither one of them talk about the fact that
Proposition S was a proposition passed in 2008 that freed up about $2 billion to go out and build
$2.8 billion.
Yeah.
And when you look at where they are with what they said to taxpayers in terms of that, Prop S is still in progress. There are still things that have to be done. There's still issues and things that need to be looked at in terms of what's happening with Prop S. So there's been, they don't want to talk about that. They want to talk about the new one, but they don't want to talk about Prop S, $2.8 billion. The other thing is this. Look at the issue that came up in Powell.
We have.
I know, Will, you have specifically. So all you have to do, folks, is think about that. And what they're saying is, hey, listen, we're gonna do all this work, we're gonna, build all these buildings and do anything, but look deeply into the financing of this, okay? Look deeply into how this gets financed and the amount of money that's being spent and how that money is going to be targeted in terms of the things that need to be done. That's all I'm saying.
To be fair, the school board did pass a resolution a couple of weeks ago that said that they wouldn't do that type of financing.
Right, after you did the report.
Sure, but I mean, I just wanted to be fair on that. Mark, let's hear your comments on Prop Z.
Okay, what I will bring to the board is some transparency and some openness, the ability to understand things that's not convoluted in a bunch of educational jargon. Remember, I was a vice principal. I know that jargon and it's confusing. But let me show you what the Voice of San Diego did here. Okay, this is San Diego Unified School District. This isn't Poway. So they borrowed $164 million, and they're going to have to spend $1.1 billion. You know who's going to pay for it? My 10-year-old daughter's children, because it goes out to 2050. Now, if you want to pass a bond, great. If you want to put it out there, but just show them this and tell the people what it really is. And of course they passed a resolution. What else is he going to do? But the resolution wasn't, we are not going to use capital appreciation bonds. Our intent is not to use them. So when you use the word intent, you leave that wide open. Yeah, we intend not. A lot of people intend not to do things. We're looking at a board that offered a 7.2% raise to teachers in 2010 when there were no economic indicators that they had any money. Why would you offer somebody something when you know good well you can't fulfill it? And then when they want their money and they want their raises, they say, we'll give it to you, but we're going to fire 20% of you to get it. And then when you hire them back, you act like you saved the day. It's like running somebody over in an intersection, giving them first aid, and acting like you're the hero when you ran them over in the first place. So quit creating situations and acting like you're going to repair them. It's like Munchausen by proxy.
Thanks, Mark. So let John. You've taken a bit of a bashing over the last 5 minutes. First of all, why don't you respond on the borrowing, the capital appreciation bond issue, and then explain to us why Proposition Z you feel is so important and why we should vote for it.
Right. Is this on? Okay. First of all, Proposition Z, yes, is very important, I will say, because Proposition MM, Proposition S, Proposition Z, we have been decades behind in keeping up our school facilities, and we were definitely playing catch up. One of the things we're emphasizing in our public schools at this point, in our new plans in the last 4 years, is critical thinking. Okay, we see here a chart. Mr. Powell very well knows that there are about 10 charts behind that chart that tell the full story of what's going on. This is one part of the Proposition S. If you average them all together, it's a very different story. If you look at what is the cost of money now versus in the future, if you look at the cost of construction now versus in the future, if you look at the way Proposition S was structured, the fact that we would not be able to do anything on Proposition S for years if we do not do this financing. So there are a lot of factors that are not being mentioned here, and people we need to do things transparently. Unfortunately, Mr. Powell does not attend school board meetings. We had in the spring a very full public hearing about this very issue where we went over all the issues of facilities and what was the best way to proceed forward. And then just quickly in response to the issue about the raises for the teachers, what we hear is, I wouldn't have done this and I wouldn't have done that, as if Mr. Powell could just go in and tell the teachers union, this is exactly what we are going to do, whether you want to or not. He doesn't mention that when we talked about the raises, that we actually saved $40 million. That we saved $20 million the first year. We saved $20 million the second year, $40 million. When the raises would have kicked in, we still would have been $20 million ahead. So there was an exchange there. It was not just throwing out a raise. So we need to use our critical thinking. We really need to look behind the facts and figures that are given.
Thanks, John. Let's move on and get into a topic that I've been really interested in. But let's get into it through this.